Hello, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning, neighbors. It's Michael coming to you live from Village on the Park. I will tell you, folks, it is springtime, and it is in the air, Jared, isn't it?
Yes, I prefer the rain to the pollen.
Exactly, yes. This weekend I was noticing quite a bit of that green stuff on the ground, and thankfully we started getting some rain to kind of wash that away.
Yeah, I kind of washed my car off, but it's still a mess. Luckily, I have that monthly, service where I can wash it as many times as I want.
You got the VIP package.
Down at Zips, yeah.
Down there you go. Zips is a good place to get your car washed, I'll tell you.
Nice local place.
And, I'll tell you, you're coming off an exciting weekend from Easter with the wonderful, excellent adventure that you all had. And so give us a little insight as to what happened at Village on the Park. I mean, when I passed by at one point on the way into town, it was like, wow, it was just packed in here.
Yes, it was. We had over 150 people.
100?
Wow. 100 of those being children. And it was crazy. There were very few adults. I'm not counting myself, but
How many did the drop and run?
Actually none, and I'm surprised. But they showed up early.
Yes.
Wiped out all the food. They found all the eggs. Luckily, we had 2 bouncy houses because we needed both of them.
Yes.
They even stayed a couple hours after our event playing and just enjoying our place here. And it was, one lady told me, it's like a park inside. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's very nice here. We love it. The residents loved it, though I think a few of them came out, saw the crowd of kids, and turned back around. Yeah. So it was
kind of like Pakistani film, saw the shadow and
I actually had purchased about 50 extra chocolate bunnies because I wasn't sure if we had enough eggs out, and I'm glad I did because it was there were a couple of little ones that didn't get as many eggs, so I made sure they got hooked up. So it was a fun event. It was really great. We introduced ourselves to the neighborhood. A lot of neighborhood people came. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. So.
Well, I'll tell you, bouncy houses now, did you kind of do some body slams in the bouncy houses with the kiddos?
No, because the parents were watching, so I really couldn't do that.
Couldn't do that.
There were a couple kids I wanted to do that to. They were, they kept eating chocolate and running their hands across my furniture. I was like, oh, God. I was coming behind him with some spray, it was. But all in all, it was a great time, great event. Good. We had a good time, and we didn't have too much food left over, and that's always a concern. So did I make too much?
Exactly.
So now for next year, we know to plan for 150 to 200.
Well, I'll tell you, the exposure of that with folks saying, "Didn't know you were here." Yeah. Love the facility, need to talk to my parents about it, type of thing.
Yeah, actually got several people actually stopped, didn't have time to do tours too much because we were busy, but they said we'd like to,
the kids.
They said, we'd love to come back when you're not so busy, and I'm like, yeah, please do. And check out what we're all about. And
I'll tell you, these community events are what it's all about, Jared, when it gets to, letting folks know what it is you do, what's going on in the community, that type of thing.
Yeah.
This is it. And hats off to you all. You did a great job on that. And it looks like also Mike survived. He's not running around here just trying to grapple a couple extra cups of coffee.
No, he actually he had a baseball game in Little Rock to go to, so he was having fun.
He was having fun.
And I even texted him, there's 150 kids here. He was like, oh, great. And I was like, that's not exactly what I meant in that text. There's 150 kids here. So That's why sarcasm does not go well over on a text.
No,
so.
it doesn't. Well, you're planting those seeds. I mean, those kids are going to need
Oh, they're
a place
future.
to go.
They were all future residents.
Exactly.
70 years or plus.
Exactly. Measuring them up for the wheelchair runs and things like that.
So. Yeah, already getting them started. Getting them to where they like the place. So. But when people want to come and hang out in your building just because they like it's so nice, that was really great. Yeah, exactly. That was really, it made it, it was loud, the whole place was active. It was, it kind of took the new off a little, which I'm glad, because sometimes shiny's great, but sometimes you want to you don't want to feel like you're sitting on the really nice couch.
Exactly.
Like my mom had a den where we weren't allowed to go into. That's where company came to visit. And we weren't allowed to sit on that furniture. So. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like that's, because we're so nice, a lot of people think that. So, but we kind of want a little bit of warmness there,
there you go.
Lived in feel. So.
There you go. Well, speaking of that, you've got a lunch and learn coming up here. And so tell us about that.
Okay, on Monday, we have great people at Springwoods Behavioral Health.
Okay.
Everyone should take a 10-day vacation there. It's kind of... Hopefully they'll include that in our PTO, like we have vacation and mental days off.
Days off, yes.
Which I think it's a joke sometimes, but I think really having a mental day is really important for our well-being. So
it is. Sometimes you have to step away.
Yeah, step away before it gets too bad.
Exactly. Refresh, rejuvenate.
Yep. And mental health illness is a big issue. I mean, we're finally starting to address it in America. From everything from gun violence, to people not relating to things that happen in their life well. So Springwoods is a great place. They have great counselors there. They help with that. And so on Monday, they're going to be here for a lunch and learn at 11:30 to about 1.
Okay.
And they'll be talking about a few things. They'll help out with our mental health. So, and they're offering a CEU. So if you're a nurse or a case manager or social worker who'd like to come to that event, just give us a call. We'll make room for you and come on down to our place. So.
And what time is that one?
That's going to be 11:30 to 1 on Monday.
11:30 to 1 on Monday.
Yep,
Fantastic.
on Monday.
So folks can come out and kind of learn about behavioral health.
Yep, definitely. And
open to the community for folks to check in and see, how to help others that may be in that kind of boat that they either know or family members. So that's always a good thing. Yeah,
and then we like partnering with other, healthcare, people to, get those resources out to the public. So.
Exactly. Well, we have Lynn from Bentonville Parks and Recs and talking about rejuvenating. She's going to be kind of talking to us about this wonderful event called the Glow Run.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it's going to be neat to talk about how folks can kind of get away from their office for a day and rejuvenate by running and getting all of that blood flowing again, oxygen to the brain, and all those wonderful things that go on. Now, of course, injuries, we don't count those. Those are, you've been through a few of those between dancing and other contests that you've had here where you've had a little opportunity on the injury run. But there you go. So great to be able to do those things. And, I often think you need to get the gym guys back out here. And I was looking at that beautiful outdoor kind of walking path, and I'm thinking, get some of the folks out to walk and run and do those things. But I was interested in your wonderful newsletter that you all put out. I'll tell you, this is a very nice newsletter that you all put out.
It is nice. Emily,
it's color. I'll tell you.
It's actually Emily, our director of activities here. She does a wonderful job. She actually won an award through our company for having the best calendars. So they're using her calendars as a template for all the other communities because they're very thorough and they're not filled with a lot of fluff, and they're interesting and you want to read them because they tell you about what's going on for this next month. So.
Well, exactly. And I get amazed in here. You've got some out and about events that are community trips.
Yep.
And I was interested in this one, going to Flying Fish. That is one of my favorite restaurants to go to is Flying Fish.
And you start volunteering to help out with those events, actually.
I was going to say, you kind of need to,
Well, they went to the Wooden Spoon last month, and so
Wooden Spoon?
Every time I've been there, there's a line all the way out to the parking lot. It's a 45-minute wait. So the great thing about living in a community like this, when you pull up in our community van, bam, everyone goes to the front of the line. And so I was like, that's awesome. So there's no waiting for our seniors. But I'll definitely have to tag along next time.
I mean, you've got everything in here. Mobile dentistry that comes, birthday celebrations, the lunch and learn, happy hour. Where can you go wrong? Happy hour?
It is happy. It's
yes, I'm sure.
silly. It's almost silly hour sometimes.
Silly.
And these are seniors, but wine and good stories and stuff like that, they go together well. So
well, and I mean resistance bands, chair yoga, tai chi, card games, chair Zumba.
Boxing classes we had with the gym guys.
Exactly. Board games.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about boring games. We're talking about board games.
Yeah, we're moving in a few, we've got some competitive card players. So they're pretty serious. But we've got beautiful card tables here, and they started doing cards more frequently. And now that we have twosomes and foursomes and stuff like that where we can have fun.
Exactly. Well, and I like the Bible study.
And that's every day. We have a daily devotional.
I love that.
So,
absolutely love that.
Start your day out right.
Well, I'll tell you. And the other thing in here is that I really liked was health and wellness, where you've got National Healthcare Decision Day that was in here and outlined. And then, of course, the one that I really liked in here was 3 things that you need to know. Celebrate spring by brightening your home with a bouquet of fresh flowers. So there you go. I mean, here the residents can, from our good friends at Enchanted Designs, they can get fresh flowers and really just brighten up their living space.
And those guys, they brought in a bouquet a few weeks back, and after our show, I put it up front, and everyone that came in is like, "Oh, it smells so good up here." Exactly. I mean, it did. It just the whole front of the building smelled great.
Exactly.
So, and it was beautiful. So,
brings in the spring from outside, and
definitely.
I finally did notice, and we'll wrap up here. But I did notice that the lovely imprint of your wildlife game that hit the window.
Yes, over there on the.
Yes.
You can make out the feathers and his beak. So. When I checked, first time I saw that, oh my God, that poor bird. And I looked in the flower bed, there was nothing there. So he obviously made it. He knocked him out probably, and slightly embarrassed.
It was kind of a Wile E. Coyote moment.
It is. It's perfect shape of the animal through the wall or whatever. So, yeah, poor little feller.
Well, I tell you, that speaks to the staff and how well they keep things up around here. The cleanliness.
Well, I actually asked him not to clean that because it was funny last week when I saw it. I was like, no, don't clean that. That's actually
leave the bird
pretty funny for now.
The bird
probably have to wipe it off when our corporate people come in.
Exactly. They, if they look over there, they'll think, there must have been someone that wasn't looking on their way through to get into the.
Well, millions of years from now, that some kid will come across that old pane of glass and see that impression and wonder what kind of weird animals flew across this continent. So, well, we'll see. It's just
that could be a mosaic moment there.
Yeah, definitely.
Jared, as always, great to have you
on
the show. Thank you for coming and talking about what's going on, especially with Springwoods and your upcoming event.
Yep.
And so that'll be fantastic. Well, folks, here in just a minute, we're going to be right back with our good friend Lynn from Bentonville Parks and Recs on our community awareness segment. Until that time, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
I was looking for a place where my mom would be safe and where if she fell, I knew somebody could get to her. I needed to know she could get her food, her meals. I needed to know that she wasn't alone and lonely.
It's tailored, it's individualized. Every resident seems to get what they need individually, and there is a real concern for what that individual need is. And there are people here to accommodate that without being condescending and really lifting up the resident. That makes a huge difference.
Coming here and be able to share your life together and become an extended family for each other is what's really been great for us. We love it.
I think my mother really feels very much at home. She loves her living space. She has a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, very cozy place. All of the things that she loves that really, really worked are there in place in a beautiful way.
The people around here are so friendly and willing to do most things, and they have so many activities for us planned every single day. They give us a activities chart every month, even for the restaurant. They give us a menu every day. Every week we get a new menu, so we know what we're going to eat.
I can't tell you how my mom she's just blossomed. She's so happy here. And she looks 10 years younger. She's walking much more. She got no exercise at her home. She's walking all over the place, and she's become very social, which I never thought my mom was very social. And she just, it's saved her life. It really has.
Well, we're back, neighbors. Thank you for staying with us this morning. It is a beautiful spring morning out here in northwest Arkansas. A little cloudy, overcast, but that's great. And we're all getting ready for spring and welcoming summer in. And so here we go. I've got the perfect guest on our show this morning, Lynn Hayden from beautiful Bentonville Parks and Recs. Lynn, welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And so I goofed on the last name. It's Hyatt. See, I had
Hyatt.
H on the name, so it's Lynn Hyatt. And sometimes that happens. You know, I have
like
one
the
of those.
hotel. It's easy to remember.
Exactly.
There you
You know,
go.
I have those senior moments. I'm entitled to those.
No worries. It's a new last name. I've only had it for about a year, so sometimes I forget it.
So there you go. Well, congratulations on that
thank
since
you.
we last saw you. So, wow, you know, things are really hopping and happening, if you will, over
Absolutely.
at Parks and Recs.
Yes,
So,
sir.
my goodness, trails, you know, we've had, of course, you were involved in a big project there for a while on the Bentonville Trail from, you know, one end of Bentonville all the way to Fayetteville. And so that was quite neat. And all the participation you had behind that with all the different cities and communities to do that. But my goodness, now here we are. I've got a big event coming up. I mean, it just seems though every running event that you all get into under Run Bentonville
Yes, sir.
is just phenomenal. I mean, the turnout that you all are getting for these events.
It's unreal. We just have this amazing, diverse running community that just comes out again and again and supports Run Bentonville. And we put on 7 races a year, and that includes the Run Bentonville Half Marathon, which just wrapped up at the end of March. And we had over 3,100 participants in that half marathon. That was a record year for us. So running is alive and well, and especially when we're starting to have beautiful spring weather and people actually want to get out and run again. So
you know, Lynn, I cannot. So, you know, here it was. I thought we'd have this big, you know, kind of this big diverse push and pull, if you will, between biking trails and running, and yet I see so many wonderful people out sharing those trails together.
Absolutely.
You know, that just speaks volumes to me on how courteous people are
For sure.
when it comes to the running and cycling and goodness, just the things that are going on with both of those markets is unreal to me.
I think those communities are just, you know, really appreciate what we have in Bentonville and what we've built. And so, you know, they're very respectful and they're just happy to have it and show it off and encourage more people to come use it. So.
It is. Jared, can you run for me? Jeremy, well, see, I'm just wonderful with names today. Jeremy, can you run for us some of the wonderful pictures here? Now, this is, I'm kind of seeing between all of the stuff here.
Sure.
This is kind of the map out, if you will, of the Glow Run.
Glow Run, that's coming up May 31st.
May 31st.
Yes, sir.
So do people have time, and we'll talk about this, about still signing up
Absolutely.
kind of for this event? And it's under Run Bentonville.
Yep.
And so I liked this caption, there is no finish line.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I
Once
thought
you start
that was,
running, we encourage you to keep with it, you know?
Now, some of these pictures I think were from some of the previous Glow Runs as well as just some of the other events, and we'll kind of go through those. And, you know, I'm amazed at all of the different ages, Lynn, that really get involved in running or even walking at these events
Absolutely.
as well.
You definitely have some of your younger folks, some of your high school age kids who are, you know, excited. They're on the cross country team and they want to come out for events. And then you have people who haven't run in 20 years or they've never run at all. And they're looking for a new challenge. They're looking just to get out of the office, as you mentioned earlier, and, you know, have some kind of distraction and they work on themselves and they find a new goal. And they make these 5Ks and these 2-mile runs their goal. And, you know, they have a wonderful time doing it. And so they're like, I'm going to keep doing this because I feel great.
On the, you know, I think what's interesting to me is that people come out no matter what the body size, the body shape. You know, here, of course, I was laughing. This was the one at Christmas time, I think, during the holidays.
Our Frosty 5K. Yep.
Some of these outfits were to die for. I mean, this fella here, and then the ladies.
Yes, we do have a Halloween run. It's called
Yes.
the Goblin Run, and
Okay.
people come out with some great costumes for that event.
Now, I try to figure out how they run in these costumes.
I don't know. Sometimes for that Halloween event, we've had people in costumes that are connected. I think we had a camel one year, and they ran together the entire time.
This one was a good one here. This takes
Flash.
me the
Perfect.
Flash. You know,
Perfect
perfect
costume.
for everything that's been coming up between Marvel and DC Comics
Yeah.
and all of that. And so
You know,
that's-
sometimes running isn't necessarily the most fun, so we appreciate our participants for finding the fun in it and not taking it too seriously.
Exactly. And but tell us a little bit about the Glow Run. I mean, this is a big event. You all have been advertising this event, and tell us a little bit about, you know, whether folks still have time to get involved in it as well. But walk us through
Absolutely.
that and how many folks you are kind of looking to be involved in that this year.
So the Memorial Park Glow Run takes place on May 31st.
Okay.
That's a Friday evening. It is only a 2-mile event. And so that's really this distance that I think a lot of people, it's not too intimidating to people. You know, it's only 2 miles.
All right.
You can come out and you can jog. If you need to walk, you can do that. But there's also this really fun element to it because it takes place at night in the dark. And so we deck all of our participants out in like glow gear, bracelets and necklaces. You get a shirt that glows in the dark. And then you just have this giant wave of people making their way around Memorial Park, and it's glowing. And so we have about 700 participants in that event.
700.
Yes, it's
My
wonderful.
goodness.
Yeah.
How do you pack them all in there? That's
You know, we make it work. We definitely do.
That is phenomenal. Well, tell us kind of behind the scenes, you know, what it takes to put on events
Sure.
like this.
We have an amazing crew at Bentonville Parks and Recreation. And,
You
know,
do?
Our mission, we're driven by enriching lives through recreation, leisure, and culture. And so obviously running is one of those recreation that fits our mission. And so I think my coworkers and I are driven by that, and just, you know, to put in the extra work to make these events special and unique, and something that people want to come back to. So, can't give away all of our secrets. But.
No, I wouldn't want you to. But I will say this, you know, it's really interesting to me when I look around other communities and other cities, how they're kind of modeling what you all are doing. You know,
it's a great compliment, sure.
You know, and I think at the end of the day, it gets down to how active you're keeping people in the community.
Right.
And I know that is really, you know, one of the goals among many that you all strive for.
You know, and we definitely can't take all the credit for it. We're blessed to have just an amazing community that really supports Parks and Recreation. They appreciate Parks and Recreation. You know, they think it's an essential service for the city, that we offer green space and these trails, and people use them. And, you know, without that, then we wouldn't have jobs. So
one of the things that I've always enjoyed in terms of our opportunities to work with you all has been with newcomers and new homeowners, being able to get those trails guides and park guides in front of them. Because I'll tell you, those folks light up like a Christmas tree when they get that, because they're like, you know, we've lived here for a few months and didn't realize how many parks there are, how many trails there are.
We have a lot of really great small hidden neighborhood parks that a lot of people don't know about, and trails just constantly keep changing, and we keep adding to our trails. And so it seems like there's always something new.
Well, and you also have a wonderful and beautiful facility across town there.
Yes, sir.
You know, really on what I call 112 on the way to Cave Springs.
Yeah, not really too far from here.
No, not at all. And the folks that are getting involved in exercise classes there, just all sorts of events that you can have there. I mean, it is a one-stop shop, if you will, for anything that you can almost think of.
And that's really what we hope for that facility to be. You know, all of your fitness classes are included in membership. We have open gym, we have 2 pools. We offer a lot of dances there, a lot of father-daughter dances, mother-son dances throughout the year. So there's definitely something always going on at the Bentonville Community Center.
Lynn, how can the folks reach out and connect I know you all have got some great social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you've got a great website.
Yeah, we do.
And you even have a phone number.
Yes.
So there you go. So
Yeah.
let the folks know how they can get in touch with
Sure.
you all to connect on all these great events that are going on.
So for the General Parks and Recreation website, it's playbentonville.com.
Okay.
If you're interested in the Glow Run or any of the other Run Bentonville events, it's runbentonville.com. We try to keep it simple.
Okay.
On Facebook, Parks and Recreation is Friends of Bentonville Parks and Recreation, and Run Bentonville as well. And then our phone number is 479-464-PARK, Park, so 7275.
That is fantastic. And I will say this, Lynn, I do not know how, I'll tell you, hats off to you all for how you train the folks that answer your phones.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because every time I call, it is, hello, this is individual XYZ,
Yeah.
Jane, John, Joe, and how can we help?
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, it is just phenomenal.
Good.
That
I'm
is
happy to
true
hear that.
customer service.
You know.
And you should go back and pat each one of them on the back.
Yeah.
And because every time we call, it is just fantastic in terms of the customer service.
That makes
we
me,
get.
I'm glad to hear
Well,
that. Yeah, I
there
will
you
pass
go.
that along.
Please do. Well, we're excited to see how the Glow Run event turns out. I know you've got some stuff also coming up in the summertime, and
Oh, yeah.
we want to have you back to talk about that as well.
Be happy
and
to,
just
yeah.
get the word out, because this is what it's about, connecting the community and getting folks active and involved.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's always something going on, for
Lynn,
sure.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I appreciate you being on as
You bet.
always and taking time, because I know your desk is stacked up with stuff to do. So.
It's good. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in for this segment, and we will be right back shortly. And again, thanks, Lynn, for being on the program. And folks, if you're looking to get actively involved, connect with Bentonville Parks and Rec. They are a great group of folks to really just, I'll tell you, just get out and get active. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a change? To start something new? To be a healthier you? Then it's time to discover Profile by Sanford. So what is Profile? Profile is a personalized weight management plan created by physicians and researchers at Sanford Health, one of the leading healthcare systems in the nation. This plan will change your life by helping you change your nutrition, activity, and lifestyle, all to develop healthy living habits for life. How does it work? Once you become a Profile member, a plan will be developed specifically for you. Working with a certified Profile coach, you'll create an easy-to-follow meal plan combining healthy grocery foods and nutrient-rich Profile meal replacements. Each plan consists of 3 stages. 1. Reduce, accelerating weight loss with a low-carb, high-protein meal plan. 2. Adapt, incorporating more healthy foods to continue weight loss. 3. Sustain, maintain weight loss with your new set of healthy habits. Throughout the entire process, you'll receive support and encouragement from your coach and be able to track your progress with our state-of-the-art technology. Does this really work? Thousands of members have lost weight on the Profile plan, ranging from 30 pounds to more than 220 pounds, and they've kept it off because Profile is simple, effective, and sustainable. Okay, how do I start? Visit profileplan.net for a free consultation with a certified coach. Then find the Profile store nearest you or enroll in our virtual coaching plan from anywhere in the country. Congratulations! You're on your way to discovering a healthier you with Profile.
Hey, where's my camera? Hey! Good morning. I'm Carrie Perrin-Smith, and so excited to be with you today again on this first Wednesday after Easter.
Yes.
It's full on spring. It's a little overcast today here in Northwest Arkansas, but it's full on spring. So a great time as we open up with the farmers market season to be talking about nutrition. I mean, obviously nutrition is important, but so this morning we were with Heather Slinkard of Juice Plus. So we're going to talk nuts and bolts of nutrition, but you know, I want to weave in a little bit of, you know, the farmers market bounty.
Yes.
You know, I read that nature gives us the kinds of things that we need for each season of the year. So, you know, when it gives us leafy greens, it's that time of year when we need leafy greens. And in the fall, when it gives us starchy vegetables, it's to help us, you know, store some resources, AKA fat. For the winter months, you know, from our hunter and gatherer ancestors. So anyway, but there's a lot of times our body does need it. So talk to us about what Juice Plus does and how people can use it, even if they're too busy to go pick out fresh stuff at the farmer's market.
Yes, and I'm going to encourage everyone to go to the farmer's markets. They are amazing, and it is very, very fresh produce. And it's just fun. I love going to the farmer's market.
Yeah, I know. The beauty of excuse me, buying from local farmers is that it's close to the plant.
Yes, exactly. And that is one thing that Juice Plus is passionate about. So we have our own farms. They are family-owned farms, small to mid-sized farms. One of the great things that they do is they grow all the produce until it has all the nutrition in it.
Yes.
Which we don't normally find in grocery stores because they have a lot of people to feed and they need to get produce in and out. But Juice Plus raises, our farmers raise everything till it has all the nutrition in it. And then it's either flash frozen for future use, or it's dried at a really slow temperature until it becomes a powder, keeps all the nutrition in it, and then we put it in capsules. And so it's bioavailable. That means it goes straight into your bloodstream, and your body knows exactly what to do with it.
Right.
So if we feed our body a cheeseburger, even though cheeseburgers are great, your body is like, oh, okay, this is a cheeseburger. But when you're giving it bioavailable fruits, vegetables, berries, and grains, it knows what to do with it immediately. And I love that. So,
well, and I think there's real benefit. I mean, you know, our bodies were designed to heal themselves.
Yes.
But the problem is that digesting food takes like 60% of your resources. Well, if you're using all your resources to digest food, you can't use it to heal your body. And so using a product like Juice Plus kind of gives you a chance to, you know, still put the nutrients in, but not have to spend all the energy to digest your food. So it makes, I mean, because how do they have that set up? Is it in a meal replacement form or just a supplement?
So it's actually not, it's a supplement to help you bridge the gap between what you eat and what your body really needs, which is 7 to 13 fist-sized servings a day. But we have a nutrition label, so not a supplement label, which is really unique. So for people that live in states where there's no food tax, yay.
Is that right?
Yes.
So it's not taxed because
because it is a food.
It's classified as a food. That is interesting.
Yes, but in the states where we're charged food tax, then there is a food tax put onto Juice
Interesting.
Plus. And so, like I said, it helps you bridge the gap. There are people like me that last time we talked about your gut being your second brain. My gut and a lot of people's can't handle a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, people with irritable bowel syndrome and colitis and different things, they have trouble with some leafy greens.
Yes.
And if you look under the microscope on some leafy greens, they are actually, they look like little shards of glass. And so if you're pretty tender inside, some of those are better off cooked.
Yes.
So before you digest them. So
definitely. And that was my issue, was I just could not eat a lot of roughage without getting very, very sick. So I love to share Juice Plus with people that have those gut issues so that they can be healthier, but they're not sick because they really want to eat that salad or whatever.
Well, absolutely, and I think there's such a benefit. So many people today are talking about intermittent fasting, where you put your food into a narrow window.
Yes.
And so what goes into that narrow window, I mean, the thing is, if you're fixing one meal a day, you're going to make sure it's a pretty nutritious meal. It's probably not, hey, I grabbed a bag of chips and a candy bar, you know?
Right.
It's like, I'm going to stop and really make this meal intentional. And I think a product like that really gives them such a chance to, make sure that that meal is absolutely as nutritious as possible.
Yes. And that's the focus on Juice Plus, is to inspire healthy living.
Right.
Around the world, and we really do, around the world, many, many countries across the world. So we also have plant-based shakes.
Okay. Talk to us about that.
That taste amazing. So I get to have Dutch chocolate every morning, and it's good for me.
So what do you mix it with? Do you take it? Is it with water? Do you put it in juice? I mean, Dutch chocolate probably not juice. Is it plant-based milk? Do you put it in whole milk? What do you do?
I don't do dairy.
Okay.
Because it tends to be more inflammatory to our systems. So I like rice milk.
Okay.
I do almond milk too. The shakes, the Dutch chocolate or the French vanilla, both taste great without adding anything. So some people will just put it in a shaker bottle, fill it up with the liquid they want, shake, and you really have a complete meal.
Nice.
In that. But we also have a really neat little cookbook, giving you ideas of stuff to put in. I put in mine chia seed, flax seed, cinnamon. Every once in a while, I'll throw some almond extract in there, or peppermint extract. On my tower garden, we have spearmint growing, so I'll
throw some
put
of that.
in some spearmint leaves. Just sort of whatever.
That's exciting. Yeah, I tell you, you can be so creative with a smoothie.
Yes.
And one of the things that I think makes smoothies so easy is that you can prepare them in advance.
Yes.
So even though you may put a lot of things in,
right.
There's a lot of things that you could do to amp up and customize your smoothie that would be super easy, just like a little meal prep on Sunday and throw those additional things.
Yes. Like when I'm traveling, I take all the dried goods that I put into my shakes, and our shaker bottles have sort of a hollow bottom.
Okay.
And so I put all those in it, and then my shake in, and when I'm ready, I just pop those in, add my liquid, shake, and I'm good to go.
And you're done.
There's no fast food like that in the world.
No, and that's the thing, when you're, we're so busy.
Yes.
We're so busy, and so many of us do rely on, how do I get the best nutrition? And I really feel like a long quality of life is related to what you put in your body.
It is.
Managing your stress is a big piece of that too, but really being intentional about your health becomes so more, I think you can get away with it, being crazy and careless until you're in your 30s, and then your body starts losing its ability to to kind of adapt to, this crazy world that we live in, or having one drink a night or whatever we do, or going out with our friends on the weekend and maybe participating in too much.
Yes. Well, and most people, like in their 20s, their 30s, they think they're invincible. They're always going to have that.
I personally thought I was invincible.
And I pretty much thought I was invincible, and then
I know.
Life goes on, and all of a sudden you're dealing with things you never thought that you would.
Right. Well, and I know, I don't know about you, but I mean, home ec was on its way out when I was in high school.
Yes.
So I mean, I took sewing class and kind of rolled my eyes at home ec, and I didn't really learn at home you know, what that meal, that nutrition meal really looked like.
Right.
And the food pyramid has really changed as we've evolved. But,
Yes.
but what was really happening, you know, as we were growing up in homes was in our food chain, there was starting to be a lot of processed food. Marketing, food marketing was really starting to come into its own. And, you know, everything was Crisco. And, you know, Crisco's the answer to everything.
It is.
That any question
Okay.
that happened in a home.
I'll remember that.
I know. Remember that? And now we're going, Crisco is bad for your arteries, you know, but we didn't know.
No, we didn't.
We didn't know about, you know, it was just, but it was an enormous convenience factor in a home. And then on top of that, it made a beautiful pie crust.
Oh,
I mean, that's
yes.
the only reason I ever used Crisco in my
Right.
in my cooking was like the pie crust was amazing.
Yes.
You know, but
Absolutely.
I know, so it's really hard to capture that, but
It is. It is.
but yeah, it's like less Crisco.
Less Crisco.
Less
More-
sugar.
Less sugar.
Less sugar, less Crisco. And those two things right there, heart disease.
Yes. And if you have joint issues or allergy issues or anything like that, dairy is not your friend, because it tends to be more inflammatory, and which your body doesn't need if
Exactly.
you're having those issues.
Yeah, you know, there's something out there, and I'm just learning about it, called starch sensitivity.
Oh.
So I don't know if that base goes back to being sensitive to sugar and a predisposition to, because starches turn into sugar,
They
and our
do.
you know, once
Yes.
they're in, it's like, hey, more sugar. So if you ate your starch originally with sugar, then you've got more. Just your body's doing the work. So
Right. Right.
so anyway, and
Yes.
so that's why, you know, milks like coconut milk and almond milk make a
Yes.
really good substitution for,
They
say, a
do.
rice milk.
Yes.
Because rice is just, I had to give up rice. So I don't know if I have that starch or that, what is it called?
Starch-
Carbohydrate sensitivity.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So yeah, we didn't plan to talk about that. That's why
Yes.
I have not, it's not like on the tip of my tongue, but,
Right.
but yeah, so anything that we can do to increase the amount of intentional nutrition that is going into our mouth. So other products, and how do they find out more about Juice Plus?
Juice Plus is one fun thing that you can do if you have a smartphone, and Siri happens to reside on your smartphone. You can say to Siri, what is the most thoroughly researched food in the world?
Yeah.
And she will pull up Juice Plus.
Huh.
Because there are close to 40 clinically researched studies that have been done on Juice Plus, which I just think is so cool, because it's not just a product that someone's trying to sell, but it has all the research behind it. And we partner with doctors just to help people.
Very good.
So, yeah. Other products. One of the coolest things that Juice Plus does is we know that the generation of kids coming up, they have a much different lifestyle than like you and I did. And so their health has gone downhill. We have a lot of 12-year-olds with cardiovascular disease.
What's up with that?
With diabetes and things like that. So what Juice Plus does is that when an adult decides, you know, I need to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
I need to start eating Juice Plus. They can sponsor a child that's at least 4 years old through undergraduate college age for 4 years to get their Juice Plus for free.
Wow.
And so we are putting a lot of great things in those kiddos' bodies. And we've had an ongoing research study that shows the benefits. The kids start craving more vegetables. They're not sick as often. They're not missing school.
They have better access for their brains to work because they've got proper nutrition. So.
They do. And that's one thing that I really love about Juice Plus Company is it truly is about helping people.
So the ability to provide nutrition for Some kiddos really need it. So,
Yes.
All right, talk to us about, you brought information on an event that is coming up.
I did. And it is, the website is Forks Over Knives, and so they talk about a plant-based diet, the benefits of that. They're having a Food Revolution Summit.
Okay.
Which sounds really cool.
And it's online?
Yes, it is all online.
All right, so how do people find out about it? How do they register?
So if you go to...
And is there a cost for it?
No, there is no cost
so it's
for
free.
it. It is free. It's April 27th through May 5th. And I'll just read this real quick. World-class and free online conference on the power of a plant-based diet to prevent and reverse disease. So if you just Google Forks Over Knives, this will probably come up. And it is very interesting. They're going to have 24 experts talking on plant-based
very
diets,
interesting.
how it can help you. 9 days. Of course, you don't have to be on for 9 days. You can go back and review what they've talked about.
Yeah.
But how a plant-based diet can reverse heart disease. Most people think when you have that diagnosis of heart disease, then you have that for the rest of your life. That doesn't have to be the case.
No, and I mean, there's a lot of factors there that are diet influenced.
Yes.
So.
Type 2 diabetes.
Oh, something you can totally turn around.
Yes, you can absolutely turn around.
And the
type
two
2
actually work
diabetes.
together.
They do, yes.
Where one exists, the other one will also exist eventually.
Exactly. And just how to be more nutritious if you're diagnosed with cancer. Because if you're going through chemotherapy or radiation or immunotherapy, having a plant-based diet is just going to help your body.
Right,
even
right.
more. So encourage people to look this up, April 27th through May 5th.
Very good.
And it's Forks Over Knives.
Forksoverknives.com, is that right?
Yes.
So forksoverknives.com. So, and there will be also a link in the comments below this broadcast. So
Good.
Anyway, so Heather Slinkard, how can people find you?
So very easy. My website is heatherslinkard.juiceplus.com.
All right.
And if you have questions, there is a place where you can leave your questions. And my goal in life, actually my goal every day, is if I can help somebody, if I can encourage somebody in whatever way, it totally makes my day.
Yeah.
So if I can help people, looking at their health through nutrition, it's awesome.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and
Thank you so much.
bringing us some information that we didn't have already. So.
Yes, absolutely.
All righty.
Thank you,
Well, neighbors, we are back. Carrie, thank you so much for a great segment talking about healthy living. I mean, my goodness, I think we might have out-healthed ourselves today, if there's such a word, in terms of, my goodness, we had Lynn on this morning, John, from Parks and Recs with the Glow Run. We've had Heather on talking about healthy eating, and here I was just a few moments ago. Everybody will probably send me nasty grams about thinking about donut shops. So, one of my weaknesses in life, John,
Me too.
is donuts.
Me too.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Me too.
But I'll tell you, here we are, John. You know, we're at a beautiful senior living facility. The backdrop is all about, you know, kind of that one-stop shop of encompassed living. Everything from dining in to getting out and going someplace with transportation provided. And now we're on the topic of senior living. And that's been our discussion this morning, even behind the scenes a little bit with you, talking about what's going on in the senior market. And my goodness, here it is. You gave me some stats, John, on, you know, projected senior housing demand and a 25-year outlook, and I'm about falling out of my chair here. It says in this article that demand for senior housing will grow from 1.4 million units in 2015 to 3.2 million units in 2040. It's estimated that 100,000 units per year will need to be built between 2025 and 2040 to keep up with demand. And this came from the American Senior Housing Association in their market brief for 2016. You know, that's only a couple of years ago, and that's not very far back.
No, it's not. And I think it's even more acute here because there seems to be a real dearth of senior housing options here in Northwest Arkansas.
Well, there are, but you know, too, John, like you and I were talking about, they really can't keep up here because of the way people are moving in with their families in terms of they're coming here and then all of a sudden they're bringing mom and dad here.
Right.
And then they're looking around, and yes, we have some great senior options. However, just like our housing market here, there's a demand for more.
Right. I run into this frequently at open houses where I'm hosting an open house and people will come in who are in that 65-year age range, which is part of baby boomers. Mm-hmm. And they're exploring what they want to do in order to put themselves in a position that this house will be a home that they can live in for the duration of their lives. You know, they've typically moved here and now they've got 3,500 square foot home, it's just the two of them, and they're thinking about downsizing, but they're also thinking about downsizing so that it'll be appropriate for them as they age and get older so they can, as the expression goes, age in place. They can stay at that home for the longest time. And so, you know, it's a concern that I've seen time and time again, especially when I'm hosting an open house that's a single level home. Which is one of the things they look for, is a house that's all in one story.
I was going to say, and here in Northwest Arkansas, I mean, we do have a variety of homes for the most part because of all of the wonderful and beautiful groundwork we have full of rock.
Right, right.
One-story homes all on one level are the optimized way to go. It cuts costs, it keeps the house, if you will, in shape in terms of being able to resell it down the road as well.
Right.
And so, you know, one of the things that you and I talked about particularly was people are getting concerned, John, as they're, you know, wanting to find these, you know, these homes where they can age in place. Kind of the tax ramifications behind some of this. The tax laws are changing, and so there's more concern about how do I look ahead on this?
Right. No, that's very true. I've had that discussion a number of times. Currently, when you sell your home, it's subject to capital gains tax, except the first $250,000 gain is tax exempt.
Okay.
And that's the current law. And if you're married and you and your spouse, this is your primary residence, then you're entitled to a $500,000 exemption from the capital gains. And the concern is that that may be an area where there's going to be some tax cuts in the future.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what's driving that concern. I don't know if these are folks who are getting tax advice or getting information from AARP, but it's come up a number of times. And they feel as though at this point in time, since the tax law is very favorable, they want to sort of cash in and take advantage of the tax exemption because the home is going to be, you know, their primary asset that they can use to help subsidize their retirement. Another thing about it too is that a lot of folks who are older in their 70s and are looking at Medicare and Medicaid as a source of money to help pay for their extended care facilities.
Sure.
They're concerned about all the equity in their home being something that could be subject to a lien by Medicare for reimbursement of the expenses that have been covered by Medicare.
Okay.
And so they feel as though if they sell the house, then the cash would be available to them to use as they want to use it. They can gift it to their children, they can gift it to the grandchildren, they can do things with it to help enjoy life until that point in time where they have to have extended care. So there's that concern as well.
Taking just a little sidebar on the whole gifting piece, I mean, you know, because I think sometimes people forget how much they can gift before they're taxed.
Right.
On that.
Well, that's another area where there's some concern about whether or not those laws would change. And they've increased the amount. Yes. And then they've also increased it so that one spouse can gift and another spouse can gift to the same person in the same year, so it doubles up.
Okay.
But there's also lots of other estate planning concerns that go into that, and I guess the focus has been they've got this house, it's appreciated in value, it's more than they need, and they feel as though at this point in their lives they want to be closer to medical facilities. They want to be convenient to the things they'd like to do, shop, go out to eat, use the walking trails.
Sure.
And they want to still stay close to their friends and family members who may live in the vicinity where they're at. And so what I hear from folks is that's really the overriding concern. We don't want to have this big house any longer, but we still want to be able to enjoy all of these other benefits. And they're just sort of exploring the options, looking to see what's out there.
Let's go a step deeper in this 12-foot into the pool, so to speak, and talk a moment about all of what you accumulate and kind of that concern about how people, sometimes I think, John, that holds them up from actually making that initial step of, oh my gosh, I need to move. I need to go and just downsize, if you will.
Right.
But I've got all of this stuff I've collected, and I should say collected, I've accumulated. And, you know, how do I get rid of it? And am I going to get anything back out of it? You know?
Right. I just had this discussion last week with a 68-year-old woman who is contemplating moving into assisted living, which is slightly different than just senior living.
Sure.
Her husband died, and now she has the burden of dealing with all of these things that they've collected over their lifetime that she can't take with her. And so there really aren't any downsizing services that I've run across up here. And so what it boils down to is, you know, a very daunting task, and eventually her plan is just to call, you know, the church or some organization like Goodwill and have them just come and take it all. And I could tell that's not really satisfactory to her because some of it she feels as though will have no value to anyone else, and it has a sentimental value to her. Well, so she needs someone to help her organize that, plan for how to donate it, but also plan on trying to give it to family members and relatives who may have more appreciation for it.
Well, I think, you know, take that paradigm, and now let's shift to the other paradigm, and that is, so kids have moved here, and maybe they're looking, I don't know that we discussed this, but excuse me, here it is. We've got homes where they're looking to put the mother-in-law quarters in,
right,
so to speak. And so you're now in that position to hunt for a home that the kids are in a position where, which isn't a huge percentage of folks, but there are those homes. I have a good friend of mine in Kansas City where he had built a home, put the mother-in-law quarters on, and then all of a sudden, mom didn't move in.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, they're calling some of these folks the sandwich generation because not only do they have mom and dad to sort of try to provide for as they've aged, but now they've got their adult children moving back in. And so these people are sandwiched between taking care of their parents and taking care of their adult children and helping them provide some kind of housing. What I've seen, though, in a lot of the new homes, new construction, is sort of a mother-in-law suite built into the house where there's a bedroom with an ensuite that's not really a master bedroom, but it's intended to provide grandma or grandpa or even the kids who come home after college, kind of an area that's a little bit remote, a little bit set off, a little bit off the main corridor of the other bedrooms, and give them an area that they have some privacy and have their own bathroom and can sort of enjoy living under the same house but still have some privacy at the same time. So we've seen that as something that's come about in the design of new homes. I think the other issue is that a lot of folks come in and they're looking to, not only do that, but make it suitable. So, I've seen people, want to look for ways that they could accommodate. So they want larger doorways so a wheelchair could go through.
Sure.
They want larger hallways. They want to look at the possibility of a step-in shower instead of a bathtub. Things that will make it easier for mom and dad who may not necessarily be unable to care for themselves, but are limited in their ability to move around.
Well, I want to flip back just a minute, and we'll kind of wrap up here, but I do want to flip back just a moment on this whole sandwich generation issue, because here it was, AARP put out an article a while back on the issue of where kids are moving back home to the parents' house. We were just talking about mom and dad having this 3,500 square foot home. What is the exit ramp, if you will, to that in one sense? Because here it is. We've seen in the news. I know it's been kind of funny in one sense, but we've had kids who are taking their parents to court because it's just like, no, we're going to stay in this house and you can't make us move and we don't have a job, and so all of a sudden it's like America's sitting here looking at look kid, it's time to go get a job.
Right.
Do something.
Right. I've seen people kind of deal with that in a couple of ways. One way is to move into assisted living.
Yes.
And the assisted living community will have restrictions on how many people can live there who aren't residents and their age and how many nights they can stay. Another is that some of these folks that I'm talking to are looking at moving into apartments.
Yes.
Just because they feel as though if they sell the house, it'll generate enough cash that provides them the funds necessary to afford a really nice new apartment in and around Bentonville or Rogers with all the amenities, and they can get in on the ground floor so they don't have to climb a lot of stairs. So they're sort of exploring that as a possible way of, moving but not really taking the kids or grandma and grandpa with them. So that this way they have a place for them to stay that will accommodate them, and Junior can sleep on the couch a few nights, but other than that,
he can't stay for
forever.
Endured term.
Right, and
or the term of endearment, whichever way.
And I think the idea is that they're looking at putting themselves in a position where they are probably spending less than they need to per month, but they're thinking about the uncertainty of the future.
Exactly.
And so if you rent an apartment, someone else is going to be responsible for the hot water heater going out, mowing the grass, taking care of the roof replacement, taking care of all of the things that go into building maintenance. It's no longer something that they have to be concerned about contingencies that may come up.
Well, I think, John, when you can look at a beautiful facility like what we're sitting in here, they've got cottage living, they've got apartment living, maintenance free, they've got, dining services, and we're not talking about, prepared foods as far as pre-prepared foods. We're talking about fresh prepared foods, because that's a health issue, at the end of the day for folks with various diet issues. that type of thing. But then memory care for those that are, maybe have a spouse that has Alzheimer's or any of these other inflicting and debilitating diseases that take over the body. And yet here's a perfect place to be residing in one sense for that. On the other hand, just as you mentioned, there's numerous places across Northwest Arkansas as well. I will say this, I think that when you get down to a real estate agent who at the end of the day, in your case, congratulations by the way, for senior, you're getting your licensing in senior real estate as a senior real estate specialist. I'll tell you, the way the baby boomers, that whole 1946 to 1964 generation, that age group, that is very key. And you're focusing in on what we're looking ahead at, specifically in these numbers from the Senior Housing Association. And this is fantastic, John, absolutely fantastic.
Well, thanks. I just feel as though there's a lot of uncertainty, and just like you and I have talked about in past programs, you sort of live based upon your experience.
Yes.
Well, a lot of folks are experiencing this for the first time.
Exactly.
Their parents didn't really give them a model to follow necessarily.
They didn't.
And they're dealing with all kinds of issues that they had never contemplated, like adult children moving home.
Oh, exactly.
Or having to make some arrangement to take care of their lives as they get into a position where they're limited in what they can do physically.
Oh, it's unreal. And the market is changing daily, and Carrie and I have talked about this. I know Carrie's ready to get rid of Tom. He's becoming a burden by staying in the house and the dogs, and here it was, she moved back to this one-stop shop, if you will, of her home, and Tom is just taken over by retirement. And so, those are something we'll discuss in the next segment with Carrie. But, I in laughing about that, I will say this. It is a concern and it is a question, and it becomes more and more the issue of why these beautiful facilities continue to pop up across Northwest Arkansas and why realtors such as yourself continue to get specialized in a market that is, the demand is changing. So we appreciate that. We certainly appreciate, your affiliation and your ability in the realty market, especially with Weichert Realty, to be part of that changing market and that dichotomy of demographic out there as well.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. One of our principles at Weichert is that we focus on doing what's best for the clients.
Yes.
That's really the decision-making criteria. And we're in an area now where there are lots of things that clients need help in making those decisions.
They do.
And so getting specialized in this area and focusing on what's out there and what people have learned from past years is what we're trying to do.
There you go. There you go. John, as always, my friend,
thank you.
Thank you for being on and really talking about the changing demands in the senior housing market, the investment in it, just all of the different questions that go on. How can people get in touch with you to explore some of this a little more in depth?
Sure. The easiest would be to just call me on my cell phone. My cell phone number is 479-685-2084. Or they're certainly willing to take a look on the internet. My email address is johns@weichertgriffin.com.
Excellent, excellent. Well, folks, any questions that you have regarding kids moving back in or parents trying to figure out what to do in that next step in life, reach out to John at Weichert Realty. Really a gentleman that has really a wonderful background in terms of understanding not only the ramifications tax-wise, but the ramifications in terms of your future and where you need to be. We'll be right back in just a few moments with a behind-the-scenes look with our good friend Jeremy from Web Untied in how we run this show. We'll be right back.
It doesn't show me. How do I?
I got y'all. This way. There you go.
No, I'd rather have you over here. Let me put. All right, are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, and we're on. We are behind the scenes at the Good Morning Neighbors show. And so the man behind the scenes that makes this all happen now is Jeremy Waterhouse with Web Untied. So he's going to walk us through how he makes all of this happen.
We actually run several webcams. We've got 4 of them in total, and we set up different areas. You see the fireplace, couch right, couch left, music. This time we've run a camera behind the scenes. We use a open source software called OBS to basically broadcast the live show and mix everything down, all the video sources. We've got the soundboard from Arkansas Music Works. It's USB into the same computer that pulls the video streams. And it seamlessly integrates into Facebook Live. So
that's pretty, you make it seamlessly, like there's nothing that ever goes wrong, because this is technology and all. Whoops, and I just knocked something off.
It's
so we aren't using that camera shot anyway.
That camera shot's not at the end.
Yeah, and so you can see the backs of some of the cameras that he's got set up here. You see they're just like little tiny things.
Tiny guys, little bitty.
So if people are wanting to get into something like this to use for their business, what do they need to know?
Logitech makes some of the best cameras out there for webcams. The C920s are fantastic. They're a 1080p camera. They stream very well. And we've seen that in a lot of our shows. Those are the main cameras that we use.
Yeah. And of course, obviously, super wide angle. Do they give you like...
You can zoom. Yeah, you can zoom in. You can actually tighten up the shots if you want to. So.
Do you have to do that like from a smartphone interface, or you can't? Can you do it? So on the computer, that gives you a chance to actually like make that adjustment on the fly.
Absolutely.
It's
not as seamless as if you were in a TV studio.
Yeah.
TV studios have the big giant cameras mounted on the wheel tripods.
Right.
Those things can zoom in nice and clean and zoom out and focus and refocus. These we tend to set up the shots beforehand, make sure everything is where we want it to be.
Right.
And then we start the show.
Right.
The live movement is where it gets a little tricky with these cameras. But in some of the instances, Steadicam, you can actually move that around and mount these onto either a gimbal stick.
Okay.
So you can walk around with these cameras as long as they're still connected.
Very good. Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
And we use like wireless mics.
Absolutely. These are just wireless mics that are plugged into the board. It gives us the ability to capture the audio and push that into the stream as well.
And it's definitely important when you're talking about online video is to have good audio quality.
Absolutely.
Because you do have a lot of echo. You have people talking in the background and coughing. Like
every device, every phone, they may have a great camera, but the audio is lacking.
Yeah.
So there's some balances with the
for real.
technology.
Yeah. So and you are running this on screen with an application.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The software we use is OBS.
Okay.
Open Broadcasting System.
Okay.
It's an open source project. It takes multiple media streams. You can put images in there for slideshows. You can put video in there. You can put live video, which are the camera capture devices.
Okay.
So it gives you a lot of functionality to be able to push these different media streams into your Facebook stream.
Right. And there's a lot of advantages to doing a Facebook Live, isn't there?
Absolutely. There's a lot of people on Facebook. And as much as people want to hate Facebook, there's still a lot of people on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't see it going away very soon. But there are other mediums. You can use YouTube to live stream. Gamers use Twitch. They use a software, online software called Twitch. And you can actually take an image of your screen or a screen capture. So the video game that you're playing, it gets that information into the stream, but then you've got a camera on the player. So the player can talk to the audience. And I actually know a couple of people that actually make money doing this.
Yeah.
It's like an e-sport. People interact
E-sport.
with them. E-sport. That is a thing, absolutely.
How about that? So can you help, is this something you help people do? I mean, I know you're here for us, but so do you actually, can people actually pay you to come do this, or do you set them up with what they need? How do they work with you?
And get them spun up and the technology that they need. It's not as cost intensive as a lot of people think.
Yeah.
I mean, most of these cameras are somewhere in the range of 80 to 100 bucks. And you can even get other cameras that will do it. So you can start small. You don't have to buy 4 cameras right off the bat.
Right.
You can start off with 1 or 2. Then your microphones. They've got some really good microphones that are cost effective. We ran a DJ company for a long time, and we found a good market for Behringer, which is actually what this audio board is.
Okay.
People think that, I have to have the most high-end equipment to do what I needed to do. Behringer makes a solid piece of equipment. They make mixers, they make speakers, they make amps. The DJ company we ran for 14 years used pretty much exclusively Behringer, from the speakers all the way to the soundboard. And it was great. It was a great mix of cost effectiveness and great quality sound.
Yeah, so it is possible for somebody to, pay you to set this up for them and then have somebody on staff that runs this.
Absolutely. We can teach them, train them. We can run it. I mean, it's super easy.
Yeah.
So we try to be as helpful and as we can be as hands-on as you want.
Yeah.
Or as hands-off. So we've done everything in between.
Yeah, so I think people would see this and go, oh, this is out of reach for me, or how do I make the break from my smartphone Facebook Live to something that is a 4-camera shoot or four sets, because at any given time on this set, I mean, we are in the kind of community room at Village on the Park, and so he basically just takes, here's a couch scene, and here's another couch scene, and here's some chairs in front of the fireplace, and then they move between each one of those between scenes. So it is interesting, but it also requires, different cameras and setups and things like that. So the cameras don't move between, unless there's something special. Yeah. I mean, I think we've shown like our guitarist by the piano. They have this beautiful grand piano in the community room here. And so, I mean, there'll be a movement there, but yeah, he's able to move. So it really is just a matter of coordination and timing.
It's no different than a TV station having multiple studios.
Right.
For the different segments.
Right.
Same concept.
So,
just a little bit smaller.
Yeah, so definitely puts the access into your hands as just the typical everyday person who wants to incorporate this into your business.
Absolutely.
So what else have you been working on?
We've been working on a lot of cabling recently, network cabling.
Okay.
Cat 6.
They're still cabling, even though we're in a wireless world.
Yeah, you can see all these wires. There's always wires somewhere. Everything is not wireless as it seems. People love to hide cables. My wife tells me all the time, you can have as much technology as you want.
I just don't want to see the cable. Hello, I know that. I have that conversation with my husband all the time.
I don't mind cables one bit because I can see where things are connected.
Yeah.
But in houses, if you have a chance to do Cat 6 cable, do it.
Yeah.
It has expandability. You can push video over Cat 6.
Yeah.
You can push analog phone lines over Cat 6. And of course, data for wireless or for printers.
Yeah.
If you've got a multi-story house, having cabling between the floors
right.
gives you much better Wi-Fi connectivity.
Exactly.
You can put an AP upstairs, you can put an AP downstairs, and then it's seamless at that point. You don't get the dead spots.
Right. Now, it's easy when you're doing new construction. What do people do when they like move into a house and go, I want to have great reception everywhere I go in that house?
There are ways to do after construction. You can get into the attic if you have good attic access.
Okay.
We can drill through the top caps, fish the cable through the wall.
Okay.
Cut a little drywall with a drywall saw, cut a little hole, put a box in there, and we've got cable now.
Nice.
We've done that a lot. There are ways to do if you don't have attic access or some of the older houses.
Yeah.
You can't drill through the top caps very well. Or they have the horizontal breaks down the wall, so you'd be pretty much remodeling the house. To get
Yeah.
But you can use power line adapters. It's a small adapter that plugs into the wall socket.
Okay.
Gives you data. You have a sender and receiver, and they pair up with each other.
Okay.
You can have one across the house, and you plug into both sides, and now you've got a Cat5 or a data transmission line using the power lines in the house. So that's an easy way to do it. Technology-wise, it's a different frequency, so it doesn't interfere with the power, and it doesn't interfere with the data, and so they don't step on each other's toes because of the way they transmit information.
Okay. So. Very interesting. So yeah, technology continues to evolve, and we have so many more capabilities. So if people want to contact you, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Webuntied.com. It looks like Web United, but it's the T and the I are flipped.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a numbers guy. I've always been a numbers guy. Spelling is not my strong suit. But,
is that what happened? It was originally Web United, and you made a typo? And oops, I forgot. Our domain name was supposed to be different.
I liked the name Web Untied from the very beginning. However, I never even crossed my mind that United and Untied were the same amount of letters, and just the T and the I were flipped.
Oh my goodness!
So when I started looking at it, when you type in Web Untied, you'll get us, but then the next page is United
because
Airlines.
They think, yeah. How funny, yeah.
Found out that there was a gentleman that created a website that was telling people the back doors to United Airlines and how to kind of use the airline to do its thing. And that website's still up. And
is that actually, right?
A feud between the airline and this gentleman. So.
Oh my goodness.
I had no idea that was even a thing.
How funny, yeah. Online search is really advanced, so.
It can, absolutely.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you so much for giving us a behind the scenes, and you can see it's not very much stuff at all, but it does require some know-how. I mean, he makes it look easy, but you got to know some stuff.
The hardest part is troubleshooting on the fly. If something goes wrong, you immediately go into a troubleshooting mode and try to fix what's going on.
Because you're live.
Because you're live at that point.
Yeah.
So my biggest troubleshooting tip to anybody, take a breath and come at it from a non-panic standpoint, because otherwise it just complicates the issue.
Yeah.
I have been there myself. I've overcomplicated the fix, and it was just a switch.
the big awkward cough in the back. It's easy to do.
It is very easy.
It's easy to do. It's like I'm sitting on the side of the road and my car won't start, and there's like people going by me at 70 miles an hour, and you can't possibly think that, okay, stop. Anyway, very cool. It happens to all of us, though. So even experts like Jeremy. Well, Jeremy Waterhouse, thank you for giving us a little walk behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Well, we're back at the end of another amazing show.
Already.
Like, wow, we may have very well turboed through this to beat our usual records. So.
I know. We've had like some epic shows lately. All good stuff. You do a really great job of curating the content. You definitely, your time is never wasted.
Well, some days I think better than
Actually,
others.
your time is probably like, but like our time as a viewer is just never wasted. There's so many interesting people, and you've done a really good job of getting people on the show that are super interesting. And some of them are advertisers, and some of them are experts that are just talking to us about what's going on in the community.
Exactly, and I'll tell you, I always enjoy having Lynn on, Lynn Hyatt from Bentonville Parks and Rec, because there's so much going on.
There is so much going on there.
In not only Bentonville, Benton County, Northwest Arkansas wide, and Lynn seems to be that connector with Parks and Rec that gets everybody out to the game, so to speak. And I just love it because we have some, I don't know that I've been in a community where we've had just the development of not only bike trails, but walking trails, hiking trails. I mean, now we have Bentonville Climb, where people are rock climbing. We have so much diverse opportunities here to exercise ourselves into oblivion. It's not even funny, But that being said, we have some wonderful parks, and we just have really a great community that we live in.
Yeah.
And Lynn, I really love it when I get her on the show to talk about what's going on.
I had no idea they had that many runs.
Oh.
Who knew?
Exactly. And again, the one I was laughing about was several of the pictures with regards to those in the costumes that were running from Halloween to Christmas. And I'm like, how do you run in that?
I know. Well, our band plays mile 12 along the race route for that Bentonville Half Marathon.
Okay.
And it's amazing to watch everybody come by. It's so funny because like the first people that run by are like practically naked. I don't care how cold it is. Runners, these people that are like, they're like reducing wind drag. They're not really worried. Yeah, they're like not wearing much. Even no matter how ridiculously cold, they'll run by in their like bright red bodies from the cold. And then as the race goes on, they're wearing more clothes, and then there's like the costume people kind of intermixed, and then like at the end, there's the people wearing like, full running suits with jackets and,
Under Armour and Nike.
You could tell, just where they're at in their marathon journey.
Well, and I would tend to be the very last of the last on the caboose with bringing the Krispy Kreme trailer behind me on the way to the...
And there's value in that.
I certainly enjoy that fact because, again, I get amazed at the amount of folks that do come out and participate in these events, no matter what level you are. It's about getting out and connecting.
I love the people that stand at different places to cheer on their people.
It's
just so
phenomenal. Neat. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy, again, getting connected in our community, finding out what's going on, and really getting the word out about it. And the Glow Run, I happened to catch it the other day on a billboard as I was passing. Billboards are good for something when you're sitting there in the long traffic lines.
There you go.
They are good for something.
Especially the ones that change now. We've got more and more of those digital billboards.
And of course, I hate to think what they pay to be on those.
It's a lot.
Yes.
But I mean, it can have value. It depends what your client is, and it depends where the billboard is. I mean, sometimes it's got real value.
But I also think that it is also of interest to me how behind the scenes for those, as you said, are the aerodynamic ones that are the ones that are, the clothes are off and they're headed for the finish line, so to speak. They've trained for these things.
Yeah.
From a health standpoint, you had Heather on talking about, the foods to eat.
Right.
The things to do, how to, have longevity in your life. And that ties right in with those in terms of that are really involved in the running and hiking community here in Northwest Arkansas. And healthy eating is what it's all about.
It is key. And I think that's the key to getting old.
Oh.
Yeah, and you know, something that she touched on with their product, it's kind of like, you know, people go, oh, well, you know, fresh is better. You know, going to the farmer's market obviously is great.
Oh, sure.
You know, buying fresh is better than frozen or canned or anything. And that's actually really not the case. The longer that it has been off the plant, the less it continues to lose nutrition. And so like her product, and then also canned and frozen vegetables, there is such a short period of time from when it leaves the plant to when it is processed that it doesn't lose nearly the nutrition that something sitting in the produce department for 3 days loses. So, you know, of course, obviously, if you want to make a salad, you know, there's only one way to get that, and that's to go to the produce department. But yeah, there's definitely different ways to get your nutrition.
Well, you know, and along that same line, people also don't think about how to clean those vegetables. So I do a little shout out here to my good friends Philip and Loretta Harp with Kangen Water. And you know, at the end of the day, some of the stuff that they have shown in some of their demonstrations with regards to rinsing of that fruit, and
they're using it for veggie.
Yes, and what comes off of that fruit. You can sit back and go, I actually bought this and I actually ate this, and yet
it's amazing what they use on our produce to help it maintain its freshness and appeal.
Exactly. Exactly. And so there's all of these different things that are behind the scenes that when you start getting into a healthy lifestyle, people think it's expensive. On the other hand, no, because you're really trading, you know, what you're spending at the store on Coke and you know, all of these other products at the end of the day.
Right.
For things that are healthy.
Well, and if you look farther down the road, when you have a health issue that is caused by not eating healthy, I mean, the prescription medicine, if your insurance isn't covering that prescription, you have to choose between, will I buy this prescription or will I eat? And because, I'm amazed at what prescriptions cost. Hundreds of dollars for a bottle of something that's going to help you survive for 30 days or hopefully, you know. So, I mean, definitely it's
It is, and you sit there and you go, Ian Rude with Nuclear Health and Fitness, he ended up talking about a little Facebook piece that he had put out the other day on really what are you saving when you're moving to that healthy lifestyle in terms of your trips to the hospital, your trips to the doctor.
That's right.
And yet we do look at the fact that it's so much easier for that $25 deductible to pick up and take care of it. Yet in the end, how many times are we hitting that $25 deductible when we go to the doctor? And so it all adds up. And
well, and there are still uninsured people out there. I mean, as we
there are,
you know, and you joked about my husband retiring, but he is retiring, and I am trying to find my insurance. So I'm not old enough for Medicare. So and it's amazing the options that you have out there, and of course we're not in that discounted rate at all, and I'm just
haven't hit the discounted mark yet.
Costs what? I'm just blown away. And yeah, there's some. It's like, oh yeah, this covers your medicine, and oh, there's a deductible. You know, you got to hit. And I'm thinking.
So I will probably get the ugly grams, but you know, be careful what you wish for, because back in the day when we started complaining about what our employer wasn't covering or what the insurance didn't cover, all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, we'd be better off to go get this in the marketplace. Then now, all of a sudden, now we have that same crowd going, oh, look what it's costing us. These insurance companies are ripping us off. Well, I'm sorry, we live in a democracy, and democracy gets down to profit and loss.
Yeah.
And you know.
Well, and there's a lot of transition right now. As I mean, there was a lot of transition when we saw I forget what the official, I'll call it Obamacare, but it has an official name.
Right.
ACA, is that
ACA,
right?
yes.
And now there's some changes kind of peeling back ACA. And so once again, those of us that are looking for insurance are kind of like scrambling.
Exactly.
For people who work for a company, there's somebody else that's paid to scramble. And we just take whatever. But when you're self-employed, you know, you're doing some homework. So I've been sitting down with a person that I really trust and have known for a long time, and walking through that. She's been super helpful helping my husband walk through his, you know, what supplemental policies do you get with your Medicare, and what do you choose, and then trying to help me figure out, you know, and you know, the other day she just sat down and said, you know, you have access to COBRA, and it's probably cheaper than what you're going to have in the insurance marketplace.
Well,
so, I mean, and it's good to have that person that you trust. And so
exactly.
It's definitely uncharted territory for me.
Well, and when you get into retirement, in terms of exiting, you're like, okay, what do I need to do with that money?
Yeah.
And where does it need to be invested? And then just like John was talking about from Weichert Realty, what are our next steps? We kid about, you know, home by noon or before, you know.
I know, yeah. It's like home by nap time.
Home by nap time.
That's our band name. Not really.
And so,
home by daylight.
Home by daylight. And so we laugh about that, but in the end, it's really the issue of how much money do I need for retirement? And when I come to a beautiful facility like this, where it's all-encompassed living, how much do I need?
Yeah.
And is my retirement going to last me?
Yeah.
And I need these services because I may have a spouse that is, you know, that is debilitated by, again, something like Alzheimer's or some type of mental illness.
And there's the things we know about our genetics, and there's things that we don't. You know, something as simple as a fall could change everything.
Exactly.
Whereas, you know, everybody in our family gets diabetes, you know, or Alzheimer's is something that affects our family. Or cancer. I mean, there's some things that your genetics predispose you for, and so I think you can predict, you know, and kind of make some plans for. But you know, something as simple as falling down the stairs of a house that you're too old to be in.
No.
You know, Tom gives me a hard time about that, but you know, Zig Ziglar, the motivational speaker, that's really what ended his speaking career. Was he fell down the steps at home, and got a head injury, and so.
Well. We've seen it in so many different people, not only that we know personally, but those that are famous. You know, different things have happened.
Exactly.
And you never know. You just never know. What we do know now is it's you know, we're continuing to get April showers out here. You know, and yet at the same time, here it was to brighten our day. Our good friends at Enchanted Designs brought us this wonderful set of azaleas.
Look at these. These are so pretty. Okay, so I gave Jeremy a couple of pictures to post. So here's a close-up picture of these, and these actually look beautiful on screen today.
You know,
but they've also got something that's similar planted out here in the flower beds just outside this community area.
I am working with the group here to see if we can do an hour-long show on really just walking the grounds, walking the facility, really just showing the folks what is here with regards to...
How the heck are you going to do that?
Well, you know, it's kind of that 60 Minutes format where you and I can talk about senior living and talk about, you know, again, everything from the back end with Corey and dining services right on through to the exercise that goes on and what all is involved. But just to those statistics that John was talking about, look at housing that we are going to need in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. You know, here it is. We've been planning in Northwest Arkansas, if you will, for, you know, and we're somewhat still behind the 8 ball or the curve ball, if you will, in terms of continuing to keep up with building needs here, from apartments right on through to, you know, single level homes.
Yeah.
And the market just, I think I mentioned this on our last show, 647 folks moved into this area last month.
Oh, that's crazy.
In 30 days.
Well, I know when we were looking for houses.
And those were folks just in, that wasn't the whole list, that was folks just in those $200,000 homes and above.
You know, the reason that we sold our last house was because it was 2 stories and it had too much square footage upstairs. And what he was talking about, you know, I mean, we looked through, not last summer, but the summer before that, when we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. The house was on the market. We needed to know what was in the marketplace. We walked through 50 or 60 open houses that provided the kind of square footage, the number of garage bays that we needed or ideally wanted.
I was going to say, I think you were at 2 and Tom was like at 6 or something.
Yeah. So we met in the middle at 3.
3.
If you can't fit your stuff in 3 garage bays, you've got too much stuff. And so, certainly if you don't have any kids at home. But yeah, it gave him a place for a man cave to have a 3rd garage bay, which by the way we still don't have. I'm still working on that. But I would
he needs to work a little longer.
Well, and I would walk into the house and ask them, "Do you have 2 bedrooms downstairs?" Because what I needed an office space downstairs, and I needed another office, which usually in the houses we were looking at had an office space, and then I needed another bedroom that we would use for a second office because we don't share. So,
you and Tom are the epitome of the married couple. You've been on all these different magazine photo covers about how you 2 beautifully get along, and then now all of a sudden we're divulged here on the show that perhaps 2 office spaces are needed to.
Alone space is the key to growing old together. So,
alone time and alone space.
You know, I mean, but that's the thing. But we would walk into these houses and they were like, "Oh, sorry, only the master is on the downstairs, and we have an office space, but I needed that other bedroom."
Exactly.
And it's amazing how it was not available in the area. You've got all these beautiful neighborhoods, but they're on these 1/4 acre and 1/3 acre lots, and you don't have any room for all that square footage downstairs. So, you know, we ended up in a smaller house with a single level, and I can't tell you how excited I am. I mean, in fact, when I was looking at those houses, I was having knee problems. I didn't even go upstairs. I just told my husband, "You go upstairs and you let me know if it's worth it." But I was just if there's some compelling reason I need to go up those stairs, I will. But if it's just 3 bedrooms, no thanks.
No thanks. Not worth it.
Yeah, no, I'll just drive you around to go look at these houses to pacify you.
Well, there you go.
But he was talking about, you know, how to keep you guys were talking about how to keep your kids from moving back in. You know what we did? We turned our guest room or our daughter's room into a gym.
There you go.
So we have a home gym at home, and you know, we'd have to give up. So if she wants to. We had turned it into a guest room, and nobody ever came to visit us.
Well, yeah, exactly, and it sits there and collects dust.
I live a mile from 3 hotels.
There you go, pick one.
I can use this room every single day and enjoy it, and then, you know, I don't risk, you know, my daughter moving back in.
And honestly.
And I don't, you know, and I put my guests, if they decide to come stay with us, I put them up in a hotel and still have square footage at my house that isn't wasted.
And the beauty of that is you're getting reward nights for putting them up in the hotel.
There you go. I guess I could do that. That would require them to come visit.
Yes, exactly.
People just don't come visit. Maybe it's all those dogs I live with.
Well, you know, could be part of that, but I will say this. Could be part of that, but I will say that when it gets down to it, you know, I think we need to go back and look at what I believe are entrenched family values with the Hispanic culture and other cultures that have moved here to Northwest Arkansas. We look around and kind of either snub our nose a little bit or think, "Oh my gosh, look at all the time you have to invest in a day to have your family over." Well, we've managed to think that we can still connect with them on Facebook. And I'm sorry, but you know, again, like I've talked about numerous times, as people, we need that face-to-face time.
Oh, exactly.
And that's what keeps us out of depression, I believe. That's what helps us. It doesn't completely cure it, but I believe it helps us when we're interacting with people. And we're, you know, again, connecting with our families, because I'll tell you, this day and age, we as a society have managed to start talking about, why do you need kids? And then we've talked about, no need to visit with the family. We can connect with them on Facebook or through all these different electronic gadgets that we have. What is that commercial, Jared, that is the alarm, not the alarm people, but it's Google or whoever that has the camera in the house, and you know, it's the mom and dad connecting with the daughter who's baking cookies, and they're sitting there playing cards. I'm like, really? Exactly. And I'm like, what happened here? You know, we need to be, what happened about going across town to see them or whatever, you know?
You know, where I live, we have a lot of, I mean, this year my goal was to connect with people face to face. And so where we live, we are walking distance from a lot of things. Now, I wanted to move there, which is actually our old neighborhood and our old house. I wanted to move back because I loved walking. I can hit the walking trail, and in 7 minutes I'm in the neighborhood market. In 5, I'm at Sam's Club. You know, I'm close to 2 Arvest locations, like that are in that amount of, within a mile.
Well, that's important.
I can walk to that, you know, and I talked my husband into walking over to Scottsdale Center to Petco. I thought, well, hey, we are warmed up now.
Did you have to call 911?
We didn't take any dogs. We didn't take any dogs. But I know he's capable of that. I thought he should, but he's always like, why would we do that? And I'm like, let's go. It'll be fine. And so we walked over there. On the way back, we have one of our friends drives by and stops and talks to us. I mean, because I timed it because I wanted to show him that it didn't take that long.
No.
And so I looked at my watch, but on the way back, our friends pull over and they're driving by in their car, and we stop and have like a 7 to 10 minute conversation while they're pulled over. Then we walk back and we walk into our neighborhood, and our friend's outside working in his yard, and so we went and looked at his garden and you know, some of the new stuff he got at the flea market.
All the things you can do when you get out.
And then we walked down, and then we walked back, you know, getting toward our house. We're within, you know, a block of our house, and we see a guy I haven't seen face to face in forever drive by his house all the time. He happens to be out, and we start talking. I mean, him and his daughter and our daughter played softball together.
See?
You know, which is now like 15 years ago.
Right.
I mean, it's like, it took us forever to get back to the house. and you know, if you're like a total introvert, even you could love this.
Jeremy is a total introvert.
Because all of these people were people that we had a great conversation with. We loved seeing them.
Exactly.
All because we walked to the store.
Exactly.
Get out and walk, people. Get out of your house where you don't have any access to Wi-Fi.
Yep. It all, exactly. That's what, you know, these wonderful devices, Jerry and I were having this conversation the other day, these wonderful devices that we have are ones that kind of cripple us to keep us inside rather than to get us outside. And so the phones are the same way. We're always on them. I'm always guilty of that. In terms of exercise, Arlene always says to me, Michael, you know, you ought to practice what you preach when it gets down to exercise. And that's true, because we think, oh, we've got to get this done, or oh, we've got to get that done. And our minds would be so much clearer if we just take a few minutes and go and do that.
Were designed, I mean, like we talked to, our bodies were designed to heal ourselves, but we are required to put decent food in it, and we are required to move around.
Exactly.
Experience the outdoors.
And speaking of decent food here, one of these days I need to get Corey to invite us after the show to have lunch. But, you know, I think sometimes he gets so preoccupied in cooking for everybody. He turns out some great lunches back there. Awesome. Yeah, and for all different levels. It doesn't matter if you just want a salad. He's got the salad bar back there, right on through to anything else you can have. So, well, you know, it's another end to a great show, and I'll tell you, thanks to our good friend Jeremy behind the scenes here at Web Untied. Thank goodness I was able to spit that out without Web United, or and you know, so I didn't call him Jared, at least at this point. I did get that earlier with him, but so you know,
when you're live in front of an audience or in front of a camera, your brain just goes on autopilot.
It does. It does.
Stuff can happen. You just hope the right words are on top of mind.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you know, again, thanks many times over to our good friends here at Village on the Park. Also to Deb and the gang at Enchanted Designs. If you want some great flowers, Mother's Day is coming up. That's in the next, 2.5, 3 weeks coming up. Get in touch with our good friends at Enchanted Designs, the flowers. I'll tell you, Mom will love the flowers, and these are fantastic.
Well, and I love the fact that she provides some choices that you can do something with.
Exactly.
After that azalea has kind of, it makes a great container plant. You can put it in the yard and it will provide years of beauty, provided you put it in the right place.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, those, they're going into full bloom.
They are.
She always brings us something for the show that is current with what's happening in nature.
And
so this azalea, I mean, like I was able to take a picture of of the azaleas that are in bloom right now. So y'all get out and enjoy nature and some azaleas. If you thought redbud season was beautiful here this year, which now we're getting leaves.
Yes.
Azaleas are about to bust out.
Well, and I'll tell you this, any of the downtown areas around here between Benton County and Washington County, some of the most beautiful trees and flowers we have in bloom at this point.
All of the Bentonville areas there, and I'm guessing here, but I believe that they are super active with like their garden club.
Yes.
All of the Bentonville parks are just tricked out.
And
I walk through there.
Bogle Gardens, my goodness, right downtown off the backside of the square there.
The square downtown, some of the parks, Orchard Park is really coming into its own. You go there at certain times and there's fields of echinacea and there's tons of these knockout roses. I haven't been there too much in the spring. I would assume that they have azaleas where it makes sense.
Prom season, all of the pictures that get taken for prom, I mean, my goodness, I can't count the number. You can't get near. Bogle Park really should charge admission at the end of the day because honestly, you can't get near that park for all of the pictures. Exactly.
Landscaping. What a gift to our neighbors.
That is. Well, our good friends at Music Works, of course, KR Promotions, Amp Electric, this time of the year in the storms, never hurts to have a generator. So get with the folks at Amp Electric and Profile by Sanford, our good friends Val and company over there, trying to keep everybody fit and trim for all this running and hiking and all the different things around Northwest Arkansas. Ignite Chiropractic, well, we can't forget Dr. Lee and Natalie because after running, you get some injuries and therefore always a good time to get by to see them, even to keep on maintenance without the injuries.
That's right. You'd be surprised how an adjustment can make a huge difference. We're just operating okay.
Exactly. Soar with Eagles, thank you, Carrie, for being on the program. Simply Cool, Dr. Cool, it is that time of the year where you want to keep your beverage cool, and you can do that. Reach out to Steve's place at Simply Cool, and he'll keep your beverage very cool. Our good friends Johnny Brusco's always go by for a great salad, great pizza, great appetizers. I'll tell you, all of the baseball groups this time of the year seem to be out, and Johnny Brusco's is the place to go. And not only that, but every time I'm in there, there's more than one baseball group in there. The kiddos running around, it's funny. It really is. But it's a great family place. They are there right in the same area with McAllister's. They're on Walton Boulevard.
Okay.
Yes, you were Mama Foo's. In fact, they're right next door to Mama Foo's.
Are they?
So
Okay.
yeah. So Google Johnny Brusco's. Corey over there, great chef, keeps everybody going with all of those pizzas. Our good friend Les with Meteor Guitar Gallery. You've played there a few times with Les, and that is a great venue for concerts here in.
You can get it for private parties.
Oh, definitely. And meetings as well.
Got all that
Yes.
audio,
Oh.
beautiful stage up there. A great setting for a corporate meeting.
And Les, just like our good friend Jeremy here, it's nothing to operate this. You push a button and all this equipment just electronically does its thing. I sit there and just get amazed at all of that. You do. Don't be cheap. You need an expert. And that's why I beg very nicely with Jeremy. So, Kumon Learning Center, it's getting that time of the year. We are getting out of school, but never enough time to keep learning.
But they have classes over the summer.
They do have classes over the summer. They do. And it keeps you in tune. I'll tell you, you don't want to be rusty when you go back to school. Granted, great to get out, smell the roses, pitch a few balls, run, get on the bike, do all those different things. But again, it is great about keeping.
Brain learning.
keep it learning. And of course, Ian Rude with Nuclear Health and Fitness. Ian seems to be keeping all of those muscles and everything going, and so we enjoy Ian. And of course, our good friend Rita Spicer at Spicer Insurance Agency this time of the year. Rita always advises make sure you're looking both ways, keeping those windshield wipers on, and you know, as the rain comes down, and don't get too close to people in terms of tailgating.
Yeah,
So you know.
And Nationwide Agency,
Yes, yes, it is on your side, and yes, and Rita's getting ready. The whole Nationwide company is kind of taking a transition with their agents, and so Rita will be able to offer more lines to folks as well. Yes, so I think that's going to be fantastic for Rita. It will open up the doors even more, but she'll still be that Nationwide agent, but it'll be more like she's kind of quasi-independent with being able to offer some stuff.
Insurance agents can carry a lot of things that we don't think about.
Yeah.
You know, like you think, oh, trip insurance can only be purchased
Exactly.
at you know, at a travel agency.
Exactly.
Like that. But that's not the case.
No, no.
They might be a middleman, so it really pays to sit down with Rita at Nationwide, or just to find out all the different things. It's not just about, you know, home and auto.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. But no, I think we had a great show. And folks, thank you for joining in with us. Until next week, good morning, neighbors.